Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we got ourselves a track from an act named Oliver Tree and Robin Schulz titled Miss You. And if we switch over to here, we've got ourselves the track on the screen on YouTube, the official music video. Now, I do quite like the song. Just going into this review, I do quite like it a lot. It's probably one of my favorite songs from Oliver Tree. And just in light of his sad passing recently, I figured it'd probably be good just to actually go check out one of his tracks in the video. We're going to listen through it from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go, let's do it. The production's fantastic. So fresh sounding, you know. Great dynamic range there from a production composition perspective. The video itself is so surreal. It's also difficult to look away, you know. Directed by Oliver Tree. So he directed it too, that's fantastic. It's a really cool film. I like the color grading and the different shot choices, the edits where they go into like the mouths and just like the camera lenses of everything like that. Some great transitions there. But we're going to talk more about this track in the conclusion. Because welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Oliver Tree and Robin Schulz titled Miss You. In this section, I'm going to provide an overall song analysis of everything from lyrics and vocals all the way through to studio production, as well as any applicable constructive critique. And then finally, my thoughts from a general listener's perspective. But before we go any further, what do we think this track is about? I think that in this one, judging from the lyrics and subject matter, everything like that, I think Oliver Tree is effectively just telling us to sort of leave him alone in this one, that like what they're going through is difficult and they've gone through some sort of painful stuff with this person and they're trying to sort of like find their own way in the world, and if they have interactions with this person, it's just going to complicate things. And they tell him not to fret, you know, I don't ever want to see you again. And it's straightforward in that regard. I'm minding my own damn business, don't try to find me better if left alone. Like, it's fairly accessible. And I think that I'm not entirely sure about the music video. I'm sure that if I had more time with it and watched it through a few more times, I could really figure out the nuance there. Regardless, it's just a really interesting story that we go through there. The vocals from Oliver Tree in this one are tight. There's just a really sort of catchy melody there. And I think that cannot be understated, how important that is in music, modern music, is to have like, it's just such a catchy kind of peppy melody with lots of energy and zest there that the faster tempo suits really neatly. I think this is a different version than the original one that Oliver Tree released. And the last one, if I'm not mistaken, the original was a little bit slower than this. I find that when it's a bit quicker, it just really kind of slaps. And it's just got a, like when the drums go away and we've got those kind of verse parts there and things are a bit more kind of floaty, it's just a fantastic contrast in terms of the pace of it. There's also kind of a synthetic modulation on the vocals where we hit the notes cleanly, but it also sounds like a little bit digital, electronic. And I think that works really neatly alongside the pads that we have there and the keys and everything like that. It's quite sort of like upbeat despite the subject matter. But it's not an overly complicated vocal performance at the same time. We have a few key melodies and ideas that we put forward there, but a lot of the magic of it comes with how it interacts with the surrounding environment. That kind of lo-fi aesthetic with some of those pads that we have with the warping, the fun of vinyl stuff at the start, alongside how it kind of clicks along rhythmically with the drums and bass and stuff when they come in. I think some of the beauty of what I've heard from Oliver Tree is that it's almost sort of like non-emotional in parts there. It's kind of like melancholic in a sense, although I would need to listen to more of the material to have more of a kind of an overall view on it. It just from this track alone, I think it's quite cool. The track itself at 2 minutes 49 is quite short, doesn't overstay its welcome. You've got a couple of runs through that main sort of like intro verse kind of build and then bridge and then sort of like drop section, and that's really as much as you need. We start immediately with the first chord. Again, that kind of fuzzy, kind of raw sounding synth there that almost sounds like we're going back in time, and then we have Don't Remind Me, the vocals come in immediately. We're not hesitating to get the listener invested in the story. And when we had that kind of squarish kind of bass come in, that reminds me a lot of the music from like the 80s, the kind of boom, boom. There, it's almost takes, it's an interesting sort of like 90s video game aesthetic to that. And I just like the fact that we staircase stuff, but it's almost kind of subtle. And before we start to build too much up, we have these rises occasionally. But then like when we have that bridge section there before the drop, we have the keys bouncing around in the upper register and we remove a lot of those lows and mids that we had prior. And it's just a great sort of sense of faux dynamic range in that response. When we get to the drop though, the drums are fantastic in part because of the push and side chaining of those kicks there, but also the offbeat hi-hats and the kind of clap to those snares is great. I think we have some occasional sort of like sub-8ths or 16 syncopated elements there, but it's primarily about the kind of 4 to the floor and how it works with the bum, 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 those kind of, those energetic, interesting rhythms on the keys that are put forward in the bridge section. Again, it's not an overcomplicated composition either. There's a few key components that do a lot of heavy lifting. And even after we have that kind of first drop finishing, we have the kind of whooshy kind of effects noise sounds to kind of like illustrate we're moving to a new part. If I'm not mistaken, I think we actually have similar lyrics to the previous part as well. It's really sort of reiterating and focusing upon that message as we push forward with it. I do like the fact that we're kind of like, after we've had these vocals or chorus parts there, that we allow the drop to kind of have its time without the hook. I think that it's enough to be able to sort of appreciate the surrounding instrumental elements and not so overdo it. And to basically have the filtering on that last sort of iteration of the drums there for that kind of final half of the loop there. It's just a nice sort of refreshing kind of taster as he gets carried off in the police car with the clown following, like almost like chaos following us everywhere we go. But I think just, yeah, you have those main key components there of the bass there following those root notes, the chord progression on the keys with those 2 or 3 per time that it kind of floats around with. You know, like typically major or minor triads there. There might be extensions. There might have been extensions in those pads at the beginning. But I think that beyond that, simply, it's more about the groove and the rhythm of it and the kind of way it pushes forward. But yeah, instrumentally, captivating, thematically as well, charming. It's minor leaning, and it's just how vibrant the vocals and keys and everything like that are really sort of accentuate a kind of, again, a bittersweet melancholic affectation to it. Like clearly we're going through stuff, like given the video and also the audio and the music and like the subject matter and everything like that. But it's almost like you don't want to sort of be too sort of down with it at the same time because of how things bounce around. How punchy it is. Like you got to keep pushing forward no matter what. Those moments of pause and respite where we don't have the drums allow us to appreciate the complexity of some of those chord progressions and harmonies in those subtle sections. But ultimately, yeah, I think we do find a nice sort of blend of the kind of more intense sort of upbeat parts and the more kind of like misty ones. And there's some nice use of filters and delays that add a kind of more ethereal feel to it. Ultimately, yeah, really well done. Studio recording, mixing, and mastering. As a final note, nicely sidechained, vocals, keys, synth, bass, drums are nicely surrounding you in the stereo field, music surrounds you in the headphones. No other resonances in the frequency spectrum. There is deliberate cutting of certain sort of instruments to kind of make them a bit more kind of shimmer in the upper end, but like ultimately it's just, it's commercial grade in terms of the production side of things. The vocals aren't overproduced, they're where they need to be. Interesting effects change to kind of like modulate and kind of like present, and also to make it sound a bit more unique. I feel like if we'd had super dry vocals, it might have just simply been like especially in comparison to how tight everything else was, it was good. Yeah, nicely leveled. And in terms of like, no applicable constructive critique for me. Like, again, this is probably my favorite track from Oliver Tree and Robin Schulz. And I was originally going to go Life Goes On and even look at that live performance they did at one point through that, as well as some of the other ones. But I do appreciate this one. I think it's very good. From a final general listener's perspective, again, I don't want to harp on it too much because I don't want to make it seem like I'm making this simply because he passed away recently. It's a track that I've been meaning to do a video on for quite a while. I think this is just a really special song, and it highlights the importance of, again, just creating really catchy hook lines with music that seems authentic, but it also highlights the fact that you can find a kind of a balance between those two things. Like, just because you're unhappy or going through some trials and tribulations, I'm not trying to minimize it. It's just more that you can find a way to make it sort of like exciting for someone whilst they kind of nod your head to that, and it doesn't need to be slow. It can be like this, and I just think it was just a great decision on Oliver Tree's and Robin Schulz's part to put this track out. And I think in general it's just a really sick tune. Again, a great audiovisual experience, and Oliver Tree will be missed. But thank you for watching my review of this track from Oliver Tree and Robin Schulz, titled Miss You. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go show us some love via the various social medias and YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I'll catch you in the next SP reviews. Spiderhands out.